So we just need an intro for this week's episode. What are we going to do for this week's intro? What's the plan?
The plan is to just say that we're doing things weekly again. Weekly.
Great. That has we're actually doing what we should have been doing all along and being consistent. Is that really our intro? Is that how far this podcast has fallen?
No, we're not. We haven't fallen. We're just still the podcast with a plan.
It's the podcast that fell to time. And speaking of which, we're talking about the Centenary today. Roll the intro!
Hello and welcome back to Who's There, a Doctor Who podcast, a show where two Who-tubers get together and talk about the best show in all of time and space, Doctor Who. I'm your host, Crispy Pro, and joining me, as always, you might know him as Red Arch Alive, but I know him as Troy. Troy, how are you going today, buddy?
Why are you making it sound like I'm some kind of celebrity, man? You might know him out in the wild as Red Arch Alive. Do they? Do they know that? Do they? I'm not too sure.
They should. They really should.
Maybe they should. Maybe I just crave attention, and that probably is obvious already. I don't know. How you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm excellent, thank you, mate.
I could tell I was going to trail off there, and I was like, "Nah, let's just move on. Let's just move on.
Let's not. Can I ask you a question, Troy?
You can ask me a question.
What on earth is in the background there? You have a new.
Be more specific. There's a lot in the background.
Okay, there is a lot. Over there, it looks like a new helmet of some. I don't know what that is.
This new helmet, buddy. This new helmet. This beautiful thing is. Do you know that I'm a bit of a fan of a game called what's it called again? Mass Effect, I believe. Did you know that I'm a fan of Mass Effect?
I've heard of that one. Yeah.
There's actually this like symbol on this that I'm holding. It says N7. I don't know if you've seen that before, but like N7.
It's on the top of my head. It's on the top of my head.
It's the top of my head.
Oh, it's on the top of your head.
Oh yeah, crazy.
That's what it is.
This is a helmet from Mass Effect, which lights up. Look at that.
Oh, that is.
I realised the mic's in the way. There you go. Look at that.
That is very cool.
Sorry, audio listeners. How you doing over there, Apple Podcast listeners? The bit's back. The bit's back. There are other audio platforms than Apple, but I'm just picking on Apple. I don't know why. Just the Android user in me is coming out, apparently. But yeah, so this is an N7 helmet. So if you like Mass Effect at all, you'll know that it's a helmet that Shepard wears, who Crispy will know nothing about, but can also be worn in the newest game that came out 5 years ago, Andromeda, which is a game I've been playing for the last 3 weeks and absolutely loved. It was panned at launch, but I thought it was absolutely brilliant replaying it.
Wow. Much like the Jodie Whittaker era.
Yes. Very well said. Very well said. I also got a desk lamp from Andromeda that I saw on eBay for a very cheap price. And I realised it'd come in very handy on this podcast because if I turn it on, you think I'm turning into a Slitheen.
That is mental.
It's got a ridiculous blue glow. You video listeners, you can see this now.
Goodness.
But like, if I can I bring it up on the camera? It's just one of those ones where it's like you put it in a base and it lights the whole thing up.
Wow,
and it's supposed to say
really cool,
Pathfinder on it. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but
yeah, no, I can see that.
Yeah. But just having it on the brightness is ridiculous. It literally blinds you. It's very, very funny, but it makes me look like a Slitheen. And it has drained all the color out of my camera.
All of the color.
I forget that my camera does this.
Is it gonna do this to mine?
No, it's virtual cam for me. Like if you blend in a certain color, I have to redo the camera now. So this is great for the recording.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it does this. I forget that it does this. I completely forgot that was a thing that it did. So let me just bring the camera back.
You've added a sepia filter. Wow!
Yeah,
unreal.
Sepia filter. Yeah, great. That's amazing. It's so cool. There we go. Fab. So yeah, I got a new helmet. Do you want to know how much that helmet cost me though, Crispy? Before we move on.
I don't.
Do you want to take a guess?
Yeah,
okay. The RRP was $115. So let's see if you can guess how much I paid for it.
Oh,
excluding shipping.
Let's say £190.
The RRP was $115, mate.
I don't know what that means.
So pounds are worth less. So like $115 is about like £90.
Oh, you see, that doesn't make any sense to me.
All right, let's say the RRP was £90. Guess in pounds how much I paid then. This is a long game for the sake of a very small bit.
$40.
$40? Oh, not too bad. Not too bad. Try 5.
What?
Yep, I'm not. I was looking at the helmet for about a week while playing Andromeda. Then I got an email from the store being like, "We noticed you were looking at this helmet. It's now 88% off." And I had to double take the email. I was like, 88? That's a lot.
Is this real?
It was $15, and I got a $10 voucher off it. So I got it for $5.
Oh,
shipping was a little bit
goodness.
because it came from the US, but regardless, like, it doesn't really matter how much the shipping was because when you get that much off it. But yeah, so it takes pride of place now. The Mass Effect Andromeda gamer in me now takes over the Mass Effect gamer. I like Mass Effect, okay? Again, for the new listeners, just a fun little game. If you've been here for a while, you'll know this game already. But if you like Mass Effect or not, just Google on like an audio platform or even on YouTube, just Google Mass Effect 2, the Suicide Mission soundtrack.
Yeah.
Listen to it. I'm not going to say what it sounds like this time, because if you already know, you do. But listen to that track and see if you can spot what it sounds like. Shouldn't be too difficult. But, you know, Crispy heard it and he hasn't played Mass Effect and he knew immediately what it sounded like.
I knew immediately what it sounds. It sounds like a Doctor Who tune. It
does sound a bit like a Doctor Who tune. It does sound a bit like a Doctor Who tune. But yeah, so I've just been...
Speaking of Doctor Who.
Being a geek. Just been being a geek. And I'm a geek for Doctor Who as well, which we both are.
Yes,
are we not?
We
Doctor
very
Who
much
geeks.
are.
How
and you know what we're talking about
Crispy?
today? Oh, sorry. Sorry.
No,
I was interrupting you there.
He's doing his segue.
I was trying to get back on track.
I ruined your segue.
No,
I was going to give you a chance to geek
fine.
out for a bit. You know, I've got a Mass Effect helmet. Have you got anything geeky recently?
Yeah.
Okay, what have you got? Surprise me. Come on.
I got this.
What is... is that
It's a Halo colouring book for our audio listeners.
Yo, that's so cool. Have you coloured anything in it yet?
No, I have not.
But you can't show a colouring book and then not have anything coloured in. Like, what are you doing?
Well, that's half of the fun. People can imagine themselves colouring in Master Chief right there. So, yeah, that's it's actually more expensive than a Mass Effect helmet. Would you believe?
Apparently, yeah. It's crazy that, you know, you got a colouring book for the less cool sci-fi franchise, and it costs more than the more cool sci-fi franchise helmet. You know. Yeah,
what is a more cool sci-fi franchise?
Mass Effect.
I'd argue it's Doctor Who.
I think you're pushing it. I don't know. I think Mass Effect's better. That's a joke. It's a joke.
Disclaimer, that's a joke, everyone.
It is. Don't cancel me, Twitter. So, shall we discuss the point of the episode now? 7 minutes in, 8 minutes in, however long we've been recording for, I don't even know. You asked me about my helmet and I just talked about it for ages. That sounds weird. Let's move on.
I know.
Let's move on. Doctor Who. What are we talking about today, Crispy?
A little show called Doctor Who.
Great. That's really insightful. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. Mm-hmm. Also, welcome back to weekly recording, because obviously an episode went out last week, but we recorded it 2 weeks ago because I had my weekend of not mental instability. That sounds really dark, but I was just like,
no,
I was not fit to be editing anything.
Exhaustion.
Yeah. I was getting so little sleep. Like, you know, when you want to watch Doctor Strange 2 and you end up having to watch it in 40-minute segments, you know you haven't got much free time. Like, it's a problem. And I've still been busy the last week, but I've had a bit more time to just breathe, you know? Breathing is important. Take deep breaths like Peter Capaldi.
Nice. Very good.
I made the deep breath joke again, and this time I meant it. It wasn't an accident. See?
Nice.
Beautiful.
Nice. You're learning. Well,
we're going to be talking today about the Doctor Who Centenary special, as the Australians say, the Centenary.
Centenary, mate.
We want to discuss what we think is going to happen in the episode, try and basically elaborate on our thoughts from episode 9, where it was all very sporadic. OMG, Legend of the Sea Devils was the best episode ever, and there was a trailer after it that was a bit average, a bit mid. We talked about it a bit, you know? You're trying to hold a straight face there.
I think it's quite the other way.
Yeah, the other way around, maybe. Yeah, maybe a little bit. Legend of the Mid Devils.
Ooh, get that on a t-shirt.
I said that. I didn't mind that episode. I thought it was decent.
Nah, it was fun.
But yes, we want to talk about that. So before we do that, though, we're going to mix the format up a bit. Okay, we're going to mix the format up. We read out our poll, but we always leave the Q&A to the end. Well, this time, because it's a bit early, we're recording this on Tuesday. The episode of the podcast has been out for just over 2 days. It was out late on Saturday than normal because I had an editing problem. I went to put the episode up and then realised right at the very start there was like 20 seconds where I was talking and you were just going, but the 20 seconds of me talking was gone. And it was like 2 minutes into the episode. So it's like you're listening to it and all of a sudden it's just Crispy going, I thought, well, that can't stick around. So I had to re-render the video and then YouTube wouldn't process it for ages. So it was up late. Point being, there hasn't been a lot of time to answer. So we haven't got as many responses, but we want to read through them early in the episode and then move on to a discussion so we can ramble and not worry about runtime and going, let's cram this thing in at the end. So should we go over the poll and the Q&A, Crispy, and talk about those?
Yes. I'd love to.
So, this week's poll, or last week's poll I should say, was a question regarding bonus episodes of the podcast, and we said if we were to spend time talking about other movies or TV shows, such as Star Wars, Marvel, that kind of thing, how would you rather we do so? Option being, spend about 10 minutes during an episode discussing it, or record a separate, I've put possibly unedited, it's almost definitely going to be unedited, episode and upload that as a bonus thing. And 64% have chosen the bonus episode option, as opposed to 36% for talking about it during the episode, which actually surprised me. I thought more people would go for the bonus episode. I'm surprised that even 36% said talk about it during a Doctor Who podcast episode. You know what I mean?
We've just spent 10 minutes talking about
that's
Mass
true,
Effect and
but like
Halo.
that's accidental waffle. If we put an intentional waffle in, it'll be even worse. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's very, very true. But yeah, no, I'm not too surprised by the results. I think from my end, I feel like recording a little bit of bonus content might be a bit of fun from our end. Be.
But the Q&A, let's have a look at the Q&A, shall we? And then we'll announce what next week's episode's going to be. And you guys can get involved a little bit, a little bit of involvement, I'm
very excited.
So we asked you what your thoughts and hopes for the Doctor Who Centenary special would be. We're going to get 2 of the 5 responses out of the way immediately because they both said the same thing. Louis Sutton Universe just said simply, for it to be good, which...
Yep.
I mean, yeah, fair enough. And then Arthur Botley also backed that up and said, I was going to say that it's good, but someone else has already made that joke. But he still just said that and didn't share anything else. He did just make the joke.
Well done, Arthur. Appreciate it, Arthur.
Creative, mate. Creative. We love it. Is his profile picture Jar Jar Binks? Or am I just seeing that?
It kind of looks like it. No, it looks like he's got a chef's hat on. I think it's a chef's hat. He's taking a selfie with a chef's hat.
It's a paper bag, I think, or something. I don't know. It looked from a distance like he was, our humble servant, Misa called Jar Jar Binks. We're going back to this impression again.
Misa wants the Centenary to be good.
That was horrifying. That was like Stitch X Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah, that was Stitch.
I didn't like that.
That ended up being Stitch.
Oh, good grief. Artizone24 said, Dan should go on that date. Jan should have... Jan? Who's Jan?
Jan.
Jan.
Who is Jan?
Jan should have an emotional send-off and 13 should have a killer speech. That's a lot that's confirmed for it. Oh, there's a lot that's already confirmed for it, but if it's 90 minutes, I don't think it will be too stuffed. Good point.
I damn well hope so. I hope so too.
Interestingly, the 90-minute argument is something that has been used in another comment by Dill Bill, who said, I hope for a satisfying end to Thazmin. I'm disappointed they've left it to the final 3 episodes, as it doesn't leave a lot of room for development, but a 90-minute special should hopefully do it justice, fingers crossed.
Yes.
Which is very, very good. I like that. I like that a lot. There's some good hope here. AWN has then also said, I would love for Jodie to finally have her Doctor moment, the moment you immediately think about when you think about that incarnation. While she said a few moments, they've all fallen flat for me. Which, I don't know. It's interesting. I'm not sure if it's quite fair. Because, if you ask me to name Jodie's Doctor moments, I've got one immediately.
I was about to ask. I've got one as well.
You go. What's yours?
This is exciting, Troy. This is new information for us. It's quite an early episode. In fact, the woman who fell to Earth.
It's not the same. Good.
Oh, interesting. Mine was straight up was the crane scene where she has that little speech to.
That is so good.
Tim Shaw. I don't think. Well, I mean, you might think it's been beat, but I think that's probably one of Jodie's best line deliveries. And I watched it in the cinemas. I was like, oh, this is giving me chills. This is giving me chills right now.
You think that scene beats "Is this world protected?" Because you're not the first to have come here. Oh, there have been so many.
Which episode's that from?
What?
Yeah.
And what you've got to ask is, what happened to them? Dun 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 dun. The 11th hour. His speech to the Atraxi.
I thought we was having Jodie. Just Jodie specific.
Oh, I thought you were saying that, for a first episode of a Doctor speech hasn't been beat. And I was like,
no. Oh, no.
I wouldn't necessarily disagree. I'm just saying that, that's very clear cut for you, Crispy. I was like, wow.
No, I don't know. But I haven't thought about.
He's breaking into song. He's going to tell us David Tennant's his dad again.
No. David Tennant is my dad.
Can we get a live rendition?
Yeah, maybe later in the episode. If you remind me, that could be the outro.
I'll get him drunk. Right, go and get a bottle of vodka from the fridge. Go and get a bottle of vodka from the fridge and let's do it.
I can get a beer or something if you want me to get a beer. I can crack a beer on camera.
Who's there? A Drunk Who podcast.
Riff for a little bit. I'll get a beer. Yeah, I'll get a beer.
Okay, I'll riff.
Talk about some Doctor moments. I
will conclude the Q&A discussion while he's actually going to get a beer. This is ridiculous. Hi, everyone. You stuck with me for a minute. But yeah, so it's an interesting point, AWN, about saying, you want a Doctor moment for 13. I would agree maybe in the sense that I don't think she's had quite as many as some other Doctors in points. But I'll mention to him... In fact, I'll tell you guys what it's going to be without him being here so you can see if you can clock it. The one that stands out to me is Haunting of Villa Diodati. Where she's like... sometimes this team structure isn't flat, it's mountainous with me in the summit in the stratosphere alone. And it's like, it slaps. So let's see if you can guess which one I'm talking about. Hello, Crispy, have you got your beer?
Were you reciting something?
I was reciting something, indeed. I was actually reading Sonnet
exciting.
14 from Shakespeare. How shall I compare thee to a summer's day?
Oh. You ready for this? Oh, yeah.
He's trying to.
Excellent
that didn't
stuff
come through
right
on the
there.
mic, but I'm guessing it will have done on your end.
Oh,
so.
it definitely will.
Discord
on my
noise cancellation, man. Honestly, bane of my existence.
I just want to point out that this can has the word
Clean, crisp
crispy.
taste.
Clean, crispy taste.
Officially endorsed by Crispy Pro.
Officially
That was
endorsed
more
by
South
Crispy Pro.
African than Australian.
That's
My
all right.
friends, it's been officially endorsed by Crispy Pro.
By Crispy Pro. Please
Crispy
like
Pro.
and subscribe.
Exactly. I don't know what exactly was. Right, she guess what my Jodie episode is for the Doctor moment for her. So if you just take a guess.
Whenever we talk about Jodie, you always go to Sacha Dhawan's master scene, but I'm like, this doesn't really highlight Jodie. That's where my mind went initially. Okay?
I mean, she does some very good
it's not
breathing,
that.
I guess, when he's having his speech, but I don't think that's a good Doctor moment.
No, she goes, oh,
Oh.
that's why
No,
I
but she's
chose it.
And then someone took the picture of her with the hand over her mouth and just like has made it into a meme where it just says like gay panic or something. And I found that dead funny. I thought that was great. But no, like a genuine 13th Doctor moment. You gotta know what I'm thinking of. Come on, man.
Haunting a Villa Diodora.
There we go.
Where she's like, I have to make the hard decisions sometimes.
I will recite the bit that I just said again, which is sometimes this team structure isn't flat. It's mountainous with me at the summit in the stratosphere alone. And it's like, yes. That is like,
yes, Jodie. It's not like, oh, it's like, oh.
Oh, you really? Why are you just hung up on Sacha Dhawan? I mean, I know that's normally me, but come on, dude.
I don't know. I'm having a bit of a Sacha Dhawan day.
Yeah, he's not mastered his emotions very well, our Crispy. But yeah, so the point being, like, I kind of get where you're coming from, but I do think she's had some already. But you could twist what you've said. That sounds really mean, but you could twist what you've said to match with David Tennant, because a lot of people, I would say, argue that his So Much More speech is one of his most iconic moments, and that did come from his last episode. You know,
very good point.
That was a killer moment, and I think every Doctor's kind of had a good killer moment in their last episode, but I think some have hit harder than others. You know, Capaldi didn't really have a specific speech per se, but it was just kind of doing his doctoring, like, I am the Doctor, blah, 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 blah. I know that his regeneration speech falls flat for about half of the audience. I've seen more and more criticism of his regeneration speech as time's gone by. People saying they don't like the Moffat. I'm just going to waffle for 20 minutes and then my hands are going to glow kind of thing. But I really liked it, so I don't care.
No, I mean, it's not bad. It's not bad, but I don't know. It feels very eerily similar to Matt Smith, so I think that's just where people were getting that from.
But you've got, I mean, Christopher Eccleston's is unfair because it was the end of his actual series. He had all the stuff with the Emperor
But it's
Dalek,
still
which was
so
great.
iconic.
Yeah.
Still
but
iconic.
I Could Do So Much More, I think, has not been beaten just yet.
No.
Just that
agree.
whole thing, you know, this is what I get, my reward is just... It's what I said to you a few episodes ago, the fact that some people don't like that and think he's being narky, I'm like, that's the point. And David Tennant is a beautiful actor who nails that brilliantly.
So good. Gosh.
It's so good.
If only you could come back to Doctor Who one day.
If only he would come back, I know. You know, I just... One day might see him filming in, I don't know, some UK city, maybe like, I don't know, Bristol, or... But who else would be in it with him, you know?
I don't
Say
know.
what, I really like How I Met Your Mother. I'd love to see someone out of that in the show. Maybe someone out of How I Met Your Mother would be quite good. Neil Patrick Harris would be good. Maybe that's a bit of a stretch. I don't know.
Maybe asking too much there, mate.
I might be. I'm asking too much of your internet as well because there's some really serious lag going on there for a second.
I know. I think it's okay now.
Oh, I don't know if we're keeping it in or not, but if we are, just for context, he said I know, and then his camera just wasn't moving, and then all of a sudden he started nodding like Scooby-Doo after that. It's like, I know.
Oh, good grief.
Australian internet, it do be hairy sometimes. It do be hairy, you know what I mean?
Shocking.
So we're going to very quickly just tell you what our next episode is going to be about, and then we're going to move on into our full discussion of the Centenary. We'll just be able to discuss it for like a good half an hour, 40 minutes. We'll actually be on topic for a bit, which will be really nice. Really nice.
Hell
but
yeah.
What is happening next week is actually down to Crispy because it was his idea, and he's kind of got a few ideas. He's shared a few with me, but it's been so long I don't remember, so he's basically just going to take the reins. I'm going to do the intro next week because we take it in turns. Once I've done the intro, though, it's going to be... I'm just going to sit and grit my teeth and bear and see what the heck he's put together. No, grit my teeth a bit pushing it, but I'm going to be excited to see what you got cooking. So would you like to tease what episode 18 will be for the listeners and what kind of Q&A we could have so they could interact with us for the episode?
Well, Troy, there is this website, and I can't quite remember the name of the website. Hang on. Let me find it first. Okay, so it's called Mad Libs. And so there are all these, like, various things that you have to fill out, such as an occupation, a noun, an adjective, a noun, a verb, an adjective, yada, yada, yada. And then it will create a story for you. And I thought it would be so funny if we just filled it with Doctor Who stuff, and we could like have a few where there's some of us. We could get some suggestions from, the people of the Who's There Doctor Who podcast community to have some suggestions, and we could just make some ridiculous Doctor Who stories. Imagine the Absorbaloff going to a photo shoot. That could be a question that we could do.
Have you got the web link specifically so we can read it out and then we can get people to interact with us that way?
It is glowwordbooks.com, and the category is Kids Online Mad Libs.
Okay, what we will do is we'll leave it on screen. You can send me the link right now while we're talking, if that's okay. I'll put the link on the screen for the edits. You'll see it in the video versions, and I'll do my best to also add it in the episode description. You might not be able to click it, but you might at least be able to copy the text and get yourself over to the website. What we want you to do is to have a go of this game, to take part. Go in there, put some Doctor Who words, nouns, verbs, adjectives, that kind of thing in there, and send us your results. Whether it's in the Q&A, we'll leave a Q&A for you to submit your responses. But the idea is we're going to try and make an episode of Doctor Who. So we'll do this game. We might also talk about what our dream episode of Doctor Who would be. That could also be a really fun thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So via the Q&A, either let us know what your dream episode of Doctor Who would be, or even better, have a go of this game. And that's a long web link. I might just say I'll leave that in the
description.
In the description of the episode, might do. We'll also tweet it out, but you can also tweet us, because that way you could show us it without the character restriction and the Q&A response, because I think there is a limit to how much you can type in the Q&A. So remember that Who's There DW is our Twitter and Instagram. You can get in touch with us over there. Send us a DM on Instagram, tweet at us on Twitter, whenever works best. But send over your submissions as soon as you can, so when we record, we can hopefully get a few people having a go at the game and reading out their suggestions in the episode. So it'll be really good fun making our own episode of Doctor Who. It'll be a really, really fun, epic gaming time. There's gaming now. It's gaming.
It's gaming. Yeah. It's gaming hours,
boys. We are gamers. I think that about covers it. And the poll will obviously be decided as we go through this episode. We'll figure something out when we're talking, and then when I'm editing, I will make the poll on Spotify, and then we'll read out the answers. It'll be a good time. So, we've been recording for I don't know how long, because we've had several internet issues with you, my good Australian man. But I think we've got a good half an hour, 40 minutes to talk about Centenary still. So
yeah, let's do it.
Where do we want to start with this? Because let's talk about what we know. So the Centenary special, believe it or not, is Jodie Whittaker's final episode. I bet you guys actually didn't know that.
Wait,
what? It's really, really upsetting information. Well, actually, it is upsetting information,
sorry?
But let's not make it sound like we're glad for it to go, because I certainly am not. And you're definitely, obviously, you're cheering it. You can't wait for it to be gone, can you, Crispy?
Oh, don't paint me in that light, boy. I'll be very sad.
Well, have you met her at Comic-Con? Have you met her? No, you didn't make the effort, so you're clearly not a Jodie stan. Clearly not a Jodie stan. You were looking at those plane tickets, and you didn't even buy a ticket. That's the problem,
Do you know how much they are?
And Doctor Who
I'm not
YouTube
looking
money?
This episode. I usually look
Doctor
every
Who
episode.
YouTube money, you should do it. You should get over it. Get over it in August, man.
I am going to.
I have less things to shoot in next month because it's summer holidays, so if you want to come over, next month's a good time, just saying.
1 month out? My goodness. That's
my goodness. Yeah, he's actually looking it up again now. That was not hard. That was not hard to get him to look again.
Nah, we need to talk about the episode.
He's looking in the background, so I'll riff. Yeah, I'll riff. I'll get my sonic screwdriver out. I'm gonna point it at the screen, and by the time I let go, he's gonna find the tickets. You ready? There you go. I'm holding the button. I'm holding the button.
Oh gosh.
3, 2, 1. Boom. Throw the prices out as Crispy.
They're about $4,000.
You can afford that. Right, I'll see you next month then.
I cannot afford that.
That was a really good Andrew Garfield impression then, blimey. Do you give me your best hee-hee, and then we can talk about the Centenary. The Centenary. Actually, there's my first prediction. I think Andrew Garfield's character Frank from Daleks in Manhattan will come back.
I watched that yesterday.
Wow. I watched The Amazing Spider-Man yesterday because it was 10 years since that film came out.
Oh, what a coincidence.
I know. First Spider-Man film I ever saw in cinemas, and an absolutely fantastic film to boot. But Jordan else is fantastic. Us actually staying on topic. It doesn't happen often.
I know. It does not. Let's stay on it. Let's just do it.
Probably my fault that time.
No side riffs.
Yeah, just stop bringing up your damn Halo coloring books, okay? Like, stop.
Purely Centenary.
Yeah, he says looking at his coloring book. Well, he got a pink highlighter out. Best way to colour. So, we know that it's going to be Jodie Whittaker's final episode. We also have a rough inclination, it's not officially confirmed by BBC sources, but it's going to hopefully be dropping in October, and it's going to have a runtime of 90 minutes if the good man, the myth, the legend, Russell T Davies is to be believed, because he said at the BAFTAs, right after Shooty was casted, that it was going to be a 90-minute special. Hopefully he's right on that.
I hope that's true. If that doesn't end up being true, and like even if it's like 60 minutes, people are going to be like, what?
I think it has to be at least 70 for it to fit enough in.
Has to be 70.
Yeah. We've got to be talking roughly Day of the Doctor length if you want to fit in the amount of stuff they're teasing. 90 minutes would be amazing, but like if it's 70, 75, I'll take it.
90 minutes has to be true. 90 minutes
or maybe,
has to be true.
Maybe for Chris Chibnall's final Doctor Who episode, he'll call back to his first Doctor Who episode, and it'll be 42 minutes long. Imagine.
He was like,
and it's just Jodie Whittaker and Gaz in a pub quiz. Who had more number ones, the Beatles or Elvis?
It'd be funny if the like original cut that Russell saw was 90 minutes, but then he had that like crazy,
don't say that.
crazy idea. Idea was like, oh, we don't really need that. We could because apparently the rumor is they chopped at least 10 minutes of stuff from the Legend of the Sea Devil, so we don't know.
Which was a huge L. Like I don't know what they were doing there. That was a big mistake. Big mistake. L. You know, do we need to explain what an L is for some of our older listeners?
Yeah, for sure.
We've got a wide age range. L is it just means loss. So now you can be down with the kids. You can go, if you happen to be one of our older listeners, because we know there is a wider age range here. We're not calling you old per se. We're just saying in the higher age ranges. You know, you have kids who, you know, play the Fortnites and watch the TikToks, and you can come in now and be like, wow, what an L, and then watch your kid just look at you with embarrassment.
It's like, who told you that?
We are appealing to the masses.
It was Troy and Crispy. Yes.
I actually watch a podcast. You listen to podcasts, right? That's a huge dub for me, you know?
It's a dub. It was a dub if you guys are listening right now.
Oh, this is just really cringy now. Really cringy.
I know.
So that's the key information we know. It's going to be Jodie Whittaker starring, obviously, her final episode, and it's going to be hopefully coming out in October with a runtime of approximately 90 minutes, bar the fact that some things could get left on the cutting room floor. You know, I said to you, 90 minutes, that gives us a good 20 minutes for the Thazmin kiss. So, you know, I hope they make the most of that.
Which will happen.
Which will happen. It has to happen. Let's start with Thazmin. I feel like that's a really good point to start, because
excellent point.
I mean, let's face it. We know that Jodie Whittaker's stuff has not been as and not to quote the BBC, blimey, but not been as universally loved by everybody. You know, some people don't like some of the stories. Some people think the writing's not been as good, whatever. But I think one of the biggest things that a lot of Doctor Who fans have got behind, whether they've loved the writing or not, has been this Thazmin arc. And as which user said it? Dilbill said in the Q&A, it has felt a little bit like, despite they have built it up, I do think, across the 3 series, it does feel a lot like they've left the main chunk of it to the last few episodes, which is a real shame, because it would have been nice to see that be explored a little bit more. You know, we've had the odd hint in series 11 and 12 and a bit more in Flux, but it would have been nice to see a bit more, maybe. But there's also the point to be raised, you know, Legend of the Sea Devils was meant to be a series 13 episode. What if that had the same Thazmin content and was part of series 13, then they did specials? You know, maybe it was planned for it to be more, but COVID reared its ugly head, you know, as it often does. Who knows? That's
actually a really, really good point, Troy. I can almost guarantee you that they would have sprinkled way more Thazmin stuff in series 13 if they could have. Unfortunately, they couldn't because of the pandemic. That's a damn good point.
Well, Chibnall said it nearly made him walk out. You know, he said that COVID nearly made him walk out and not even do Flux, which I know some people would have been very happy about, but I still don't get that. We've talked about this before, like seeing those comments being like, you know, Flux is the worst season of television ever. I'm like, really? You're going to say that when Torchwood Miracle Day exists? Really? Really? For the record, I did enjoy Miracle Day, but I watched it like when it first aired and haven't seen it since, so I don't know if I'd still like it now if I watched it. I remember how it ends, but
I haven't watched past the first episode since.
You haven't watched past the first episode?
The first episode's great, and I've seen it about like heaps of times, then I go to watch episode 2, I'm like, oh, maybe later, and never get around to it.
Have you actually seen Miracle Day, though, once, start to finish?
No. I've never. That could be a podcast. We'll chuck.
It genuinely is. Honestly, as a season, it's a really like scary concept, because it is just like this idea of what if everyone just stopped dying. And I do think it is dragged out. 10 episodes is definitely too much, but like it's a really scary concept of like what people would have to do to try and manage that, or what people could do. Because there's some dark stuff in there. I think I was probably a bit too young to watch it when it first came out, because there was some dark subject matter there. Like, whoo, mama. But yeah, side shows we should put some time into in the future, I think. You know, a special Torchwood episode or a special Sarah Jane Adventures episode. We could pick out some episodes from those shows and talk about them. Children of Earth, for one thing. Anything for me to go on even more about Peter Capaldi's performance. in Children of Earth. Oh,
any excuse for
Capaldi for both of us and for our listeners who voted the 12th Doctor as the best Doctor recently, as we remember, But yeah, so the point is, we made about 6 minutes ago. Let's talk about Thazmin. So it does feel a bit as though, obviously a lot of it's been left to the last minute with regards to the specials. There's been more hints. I think once we saw her kind of, well, to quote John Bishop, caning over the hologram, like, it was really obvious at that point that it was going somewhere. We knew that it was going somewhere. But I think it's after how Legend of the Sea Devils ended, I'm very worried about how they're going to open that up and carry on. They've said the talks are not over, and Yasmin Khan, Mandip Gill has said on several occasions that the story goes away where she thinks that everyone will understand how it's got there and will enjoy it and it'll be emotional and all this, but like, what does that mean? What do you think is going to happen for Thazmin, Crispy? Where do you think it's going to go?
Has she said that? Has she said that in regards to Thazmin?
Let me find the quote. Radio Times, Mandip Gill.
Interesting.
Thazmin.
Oh gosh, I don't know.
Okay, I can't find it for some reason. I don't know where it's gone, but I remember there was an interview. She was asked on it was a red carpet or something, and I swear it was Radio Times. But she said that it was going to be an emotional thing, but she hopes people would see that that's the natural conclusion and where it's come from. So I'm a bit confused that I can't find it, but that was the thing she'd said. So going back to what I was saying, what do you think they're going to do with Thazmin during this episode?
Well, they've got several ways they can play it. Obviously, because Jodie is regenerating in this series is done, and I don't think Yasmin Khan will continue on to the Russell T Davies era. It will either be like Yaz confesses her feelings to the Doctor, and the Doctor's very much the same as like, look, I like you a lot, but I don't want to see you get hurt type thing. And then they just kind of, have a moment and then that's it. Or there's like a massive confession of love and then the Doctor dies. And he rips our heartstrings out.
It's what I'm hoping for, sad. Which means that I'm a glutton for punishment. I actually just want to see them properly say it. Because obviously they've acknowledged it and there's a mutual understanding that they both feel that way after Legend of the Sea Devils. Yeah. I mean, that was huge. And I still love the reaction from the community. I've talked about it before, like even saying to my friends on Twitter, like losing their minds over it. Like it was a cool thing.
Well done. It was the best part of Legend of the Sea Devils, hands down.
Yeah. And it was clear that was where the focus was going to be. Like, that was the undercurrent of the episode, and that was like, Sea Devil should have had a bit more time. We've talked about that, but like, I think the stuff it did for Thazmin made the episode so much better. Which obviously is a turn off people who aren't really as interested in the Thazmin storyline, who don't connect with it as well, because maybe they think it's been a bit rushed, whatever, blah, 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 blah. But like, I think what they did in that episode was really, really good. It's just, and it's what I said to you at the time, when I watched Legend of the Sea Devils, the first thing that came to my head was, how did that actually end that conversation? I didn't get it. I couldn't tell, when she was saying, let's live in the present, whether it was saying, let's just, be together but not like kind of plan too far ahead because I'm going to die soon, or she's saying, I'm going to die soon, let's not risk it and get ourselves hurt, which is obviously the latter being the one that we've most people have agreed on is the way it was being done, but it's almost unfair to say because they're going to get hurt regardless of what happens,
Something bad is going to happen. So it's going to be sad.
And with there being some similarities between Jodie's episodes and Chris's episodes, Christopher Eccleston's, especially with that timeless children versus parting of the ways, will you detonate the bomb to kill everyone, including yourself? Are you coward or killer? Maybe they'll take another leaf out of Christopher Eccleston's era's book, and maybe it's a kiss to save the other's life. It could well be.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. That's also a popular thing that's been thrown around.
Well, there's a theory that leads into it, and it's going to actually lead into the next topic really well. So I'm quite proud of how I'm going to structure this. Obviously, I personally been a huge Thazmin backer. I think you are maybe a little bit more than you. I know you really like it, but I think I just won't shut up about it.
Well, I just want to. I don't want to see it. I haven't seen the conclusion of it yet.
Exactly.
As far as it's gone now, I'm all for it. I just don't. I think it needs to be handled very delicately. And I think they have done a good job so far, but as soon as the story is done, I will make my final verdict as to the whole Thazmin situation. Anyway.
When Who's There Doctor podcast returns after a 3-month break in October with a 4-month break with the next episode. We're going to have another big break, guys. No.
Stop.
Well, we said we'll have a break at some point, but maybe we don't need it as much after the last few weeks. Who knows?
We'll see.
But yeah, so obviously the kiss is the big thing. We really want there to be some kind of proper full-on acknowledgement. A lot of us do anyway, I certainly do. But what if it is like a Christopher Eccleston kiss to save Yaz's life? And what if it links to the common theory right now that Yaz is going to end up being brainwashed in some form by our favourite boy, Sacha Dhawan's master?
Oh,
because that's a very, very common theory. is that, there's that clip in the trailer of her holding the gun in the TARDIS, and people are wondering, has she been hypnotized? Is she going to be, pulling a gun on Jodie, or maybe even on Dan, or something's going to happen there? Like, is the Master kind of getting into her ear? Because there was one image in particular of just Yaz and the Master together, and everyone was like, why are these two sharing a scene together? And there doesn't seem to be a Jodie, although he is kind of looking in another direction, so he could be talking to someone, or he could just be looking at the thing he's talking to Yaz about. We don't know. But that's a very, very common theory, which leads us into our discussion about the Master. So, we also know that Sacha Dhawan's Master will be making an appearance, as he should.
Thank
the
goodness.
King returns.
Now that is a dub.
But we don't. It is a dub. That is a dub. There you go. There's more cool kid speak.
Yeah.
We are. How do you do, fellow kids?
Yes.
So we know that Sacha Dhawan's Master is coming back. What we've also noticed from the trailer is that he seems to be at different ages or different periods of his life, or just has a really, really uncanny ability to either grow hair very quickly or just shave it off screen very quickly.
Could be a Time Lord thing. We don't know.
Well, we have him beardless, which we have not seen him at all during his run as the Master. He's always had a beard. Sacha has that is. Michelle Gomez didn't have a beard at any point. Or did she? Hang on. No. Yeah, like the face you pulled down was like, hang on, I swear in Death in Heaven.
That's how I imagine it in Big Finish. Just in my head, she's always got a beard.
The Missy box set, she's actually just got walking around with a big Missy beard, No, seriously. So we're seeing him beardless with shortish hair, and then right at the very end, there's that big zoom of him with a mega beard, like Tom Hanks' Castaway with the super long hair, and he's like, welcome to the end of your existence. And it's like, oh, so there's different points to the Master. So, shall I ask what your theory is first, or shall I remind you of what the common theory is? There's a very big theory for this as well that we want to talk about. Because this is the thing. This is like a more reformed... Well, this is a more reformed version of our discussion episode now, because there are lots of theories that have come out, and I'm not sure which ones we've discussed.
Oh, gosh. Okay, now hit me with it.
Well, there's a theory right now that might actually finally make us understand if Sacha Dhawan does come after Missy, which, as we've talked about previously, I don't believe, I don't like. There's a theory. Beardless Sacha Dhawan says to Jodie in that trailer, "This is the day you die." What if he's actually warning her? What if the Master is still good at this point post Missy and has found the Doctor to warn her that something's going to happen? What if that isn't a threat, it's a warning? And that the bearded Master at the end is our Sacha that we've seen so far, who is maniacal, hasn't got better nature, and it's near the end of his life cycle as well, the way that Jodie's the end of hers. Like, what if there is a big time gap there, and the beardless Sacha Dhawan, again, beardless, obviously you could just have a shave, but it could be a sign that, that is a Master pre-Spyfall, before he sets himself up in MI6.
Crazy. I have not heard that theory.
What if?
I love it. I had zero. I just thought it could have, like, them trying to sell more figures and stuff. But wow.
They haven't barely done any figures. What do you mean, mate?
I know. True. Sorry. True. Wow. I love that theory. I know. It's a great. I really like that idea. And it would put the people like me, like, to rest, to be like, well, not to rest, I'm not going to die, thank you, not just yet, hopefully. But, like, it put our minds at ease, because we go, it explains the Missy Sacha thing. Like, I should remind everyone, for the people who haven't listened to the episode, my headcanon, and I feel like, I don't know whether you had this opinion before, or whether I just kind of converted you to it. I do as well. No, I had it before.
Yeah, the idea is that during the Doctor Falls, when John Simmer's Master and Missy's Master are having that dance, he says to her, I imagine you're the next one along, and she goes, I don't know, it's hard to say, and he makes the point of, I'm going to turn into a woman and you don't even remember it happening, which leaves the discrepancy that maybe Missy is the final Master. The idea of once you turn good, where do you go with the Master?
Yeah.
So maybe she is the final Master, and there's an undisclosed number of Masters between Sim and Gomez. So that, Missy really does die on that ship in the Doctor Falls, and the Master regenerates John Sim into someone else. And Sacha, being so similar in his attitude, his maniacal nature to John Sim, seems like he's a more natural follow-on from John Sim. Then again, Doctors don't tend to follow on in personality that often, so that could be a bit of a stretch.
That is true.
Capaldi was grumpy and miserable, whereas 11 was bouncy and all like, I'm going to run around and slap my hands constantly and all this, so there's an idea there. But it's just because we don't like that Missy, a lot of us don't like that Missy turned good, and then the Master was all of a sudden pretending like they'd never happened. I mean, of course the Master can go bad again after regeneration. People seem to say, it's Doctor Who, these things happen. But it's just that there isn't an explanation. There's no kind of clarification that, I know I was good once, but blah. There was a comic somewhere that made a reference to it at some point, but if you're only going to mention it in a comic, it's not Like, that's the kind of thing that needs substance in the show itself. I think I mentioned it to you a while ago. There was some kind of thing that was like, what about Missy? And he was like, oh, Missy enjoyed your company too much and it rubbed off on her, blah, 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 blah.
Oh, right.
Something like that.
I'll see it in the show.
Yeah, let's see it in the show. So that's the common theory for the Master, and I really like it. I like the idea of him being good, and maybe the events of that episode, maybe interacting with the lone Cyberman again. The lone Cyberman goes, well, hang on, we were allies, and you were a not nice person, and something happens there, or he sees the Cybermasters, something happens, and maybe that's what turns the Master bad during that episode. It's a 90-minute runtime, then you've got time to run. You've got time to run with that idea. You've got time to see that go somewhere.
Troy, I got a question. I got a question for you.
What's your question?
Do we think that the Master is the villain of the episode? Like the main villain?
It's interesting, isn't it? We don't know.
It's very because we have a few. We've got, as you mentioned, we have the lone Cybermen returning, which we are both very, very excited about. I
screamed when that came from the TV. Sat with my mom and she just looked at me and I was like, "What? What?
Hold on a second."
She was like, "Hold on a second." Like she realized as well, and she was like, "Oh yeah." What? But I was just like, "What's going on?"
It's happening. And of course we have the Daleks as well. Yes. I think you and I both agree that the Daleks might just be like a little cameo thing at the start of the episode.
100%. But it's one of, if not the only episode, only in Modern Who, but I think there was some people said in Classic Who it happened once or twice, but it's like the only episode in the modern run where the Daleks, Cybermen, and Master will be in the same episode.
All together, which is very exciting. Which
is crazy. I mean, the Daleks and Cybermen have showed up at the same time multiple times, but the Master being the extra one there is the thing that clinches it.
Cherry
the
Master
and the Cybermen have showed up more than once, but
yep,
especially more recently.
Very true. Yeah,
but yes, it's going to be interesting. I don't know who the main villain will be. Because the next question I had, which you've led into very well, was what is going on with the lone Cyberman? How is he back? What do you think? Like, how has he come back?
Well, we see them meet in the Timeless Children, don't we? Do we? Like for the first time.
Who are we talking about? Lone Cyberman and
the Lone Cyberman and the Master.
Yeah, he calls Lone Cyberman, I think. Just during the Timeless Children, it wasn't essentially the Cyberman. Yeah, because the Master didn't reveal himself to the last few seconds, so yeah, it was Timeless Children.
And that's the first time they've met? Do they introduce each other? Are they introduced to each other?
He goes and calls the Lone Cyberman. The Lone Cyberman's like, "Who are you? Why should I trust you?" Blah blah blah. And he's like, "I'll let you land on Gallifrey. Right. You can have the planet." Blah blah blah. Right.
Okay,
and then shrinks him down to get the Siberian out of him. So, as far as we thought, shrinking down with the tissue compressor killed the person.
I thought that was the case.
Also, the death particle was triggered. The death of everything is within me. So, what's going on there? What's going on there? How is he back?
I hope they explain it.
It's like I hope they explain how Scarlet Witch is going to come back in the next Marvel film, because
exactly.
I guess that's kind of Doctor Strange spoilers, but at this point the film's been out for 2 months. If you haven't seen it, do we want to dance around that, or like?
Look,
I mentioned it briefly. There is a leak apparently right now that at San Diego Comic-Con they will announce a Scarlet Witch solo film, which will immediately show that she's coming back. And if they don't bring Vision back, I will be throwing hands with Kevin Feige. I'm making that very clear right now.
Yes, it's going to be a charity boxing event. It's going to be. Everyone.
It's going to be. Yeah. I'm not going to fight KSI. I'm going to fight Kevin Feige. But yeah, so obviously, that's the point being from that. Sorry if I did spoil Doctor Strange a little bit for you there, but watch the film. Your own. I'm joking. It's like Tom Holland did that on Graham Norton when he was talking about Spider-Man Far From Home, and he was like, "We're dealing with the consequences of Endgame with the death of Tony Stark. Sorry to anyone who hasn't seen the film," and the audience was just deathly silent. And he just kind of joked about, if you haven't, you're living under a rock, and everyone was like, there were loads of complaints going, how did he spoil this film? It's like, come on, man.
Oh my gosh.
Come on. But the point is, very often in things like this, people who die will come back. The Master is the best proof of that, right?
Very good at it.
And if they prove that Sasha was post-Missy, that proves that Missy didn't die on the ship like we thought she did. That gives us solid proof. This thing happens over and over and over again, right? As long as there's some kind of explanation, that will do me fine.
Yeah, give us a throwaway line and we're like, oh, okay.
Well, I mean, there was even a throwaway line in the Timeless Children show that the Master and the Cybermasters have survived the death particle, which makes Koshamas' sacrifice absolutely meaningless. Still feeling confident, gets shot, presses the button, and he's like, all of you, through here now! It's like, what? What's happening? It's classic Doctor Who fashion, though, so it doesn't bother me. It's just kind of like,
very much so.
Poor Koshamas, man. Could have lived a life in 21st century England with the house with the others, but no. No. Wouldn't it be weird if those people who actually think about it this way, just had a really creepy thought. what if there's a paradox loop with the people that landed in the 21st century from Timeless Children, where they meet people, have families, and carry on living, and their descendants eventually are them? What if that happens? That's a Moffat. That's a Moffat argument.
Yeah, that's...
Have I just hurt your brain?
Yeah, you have.
We look like our parents and our ancestors, and there's visual similarities. So what if they settle in the 21st century, they keep having families, time passes till we get to the point of the cyber wars, and those survivors are actually the descendants of themselves, because wibbly wobbly timey wimey. There you go.
Oh my!
I guarantee you, at least 30% of people are confused by that statement.
Save it for next week, mate. Save it for next week, mate. We'll talk about our own Doctor Who episodes.
It's great. Yeah. Oh my goodness. So there's a fun little argument for you. There'll be a couple people who might go, "Oh, that's a bit Moffat-y," because that's a very Moffat thing. Bless Moffat, by the way. His show, bless is not. Someone said to me recently they find the phrase "bless" patronising. I don't mean it that way, so I'm just going to clarify that. But Paul Moffat, he did the Time Traveler's Wife on HBO, and that's been canned after a season. I haven't watched it, but apparently it's not great, which is a bit of a shame.
Oh, it was like top streaming of HBO. Well, that's what Moffat shared, so I only saw what Moffat shared. Damn, that's a shame.
Yeah, it is.
He's usually good at time travel. Oh, well.
Is he? I've not seen him do time travel before.
Oh, really?
I know he did Dracula, but what else has he written?
Oh, there's a bit of time travel in Sherlock, so...
Oh, is that? Okay. He also wrote Jekyll.
Yeah. Jekyll?
There was a TV 2003, 2004, maybe a bit older. Jekyll and Hyde with James Nesbitt. I like James Nesbitt. He's a good actor. It was a really good show. I haven't watched it for years. Should watch it again. But yeah, so we got the Lone Cyberman, we got the Daleks, then we got to talk about companions. And this just doesn't go about beyond classics. We've got Tegan and Ace, which in itself is like... But you've also got... We've got... At this point, it's if you haven't heard the leaks, I mean, at this point, come on, you must know by this point. We'll give a slight warning for a side character coming back, but we've seen Bradley Walsh on set. We know Graham's coming back. At this point, if you don't know that, then you probably aren't listening to podcasts like this if you don't know that stuff. We know we've got Tegan, we've got Ace, we've got Graham, Dan, obviously, in the spacesuit. I want to know where the spacesuit comes from, man. I mean, it's just probably from the TARDIS.
We should have spent the whole hour talking about the spacesuit.
It's just a great moment.
Something's going on. Something's going on.
The picture of Jodie in the spacesuit. It goes hard. It's a great picture.
I'm glad they've done that. I'm glad they've done that.
The tradition continues.
Absolutely.
Now, watch Shooty wear the spacesuit in like 2 episodes in. They don't make us wait at all for the 14 to wear it.
Absolutely not.
There you go. It's done. Job. We've got that one. The box is ticked. We can move on.
Thank you very much.
But we've also got Belle and Vinda coming back. Oh no, just Vinda. Belle wasn't in the trailer, right? It was just Vinda.
Surely Belle's there with Child.
Do you know what? With Child, who is the Doctor. They go back to that plot. Remember that theory in Flux that Vinda and Belle's kid was the Doctor, and everyone was like,
"It could still happen. It could still happen."
I love how if I type the 13th Doctor in my recent, it still comes up with the 13th Doctor's Final Adventure Centenary special trailer. Sorry. That has 619,000 views now on YouTube. That's mad for Doctor Who, I think. Right, I'm just looking through very quickly.
It's all right.
Yep, there's beardless Sasha. I honestly think that's a warning rather than a threat. Vinda, Yaz with a gun, and Ace smashing a Dalek with a hammer, which I didn't realise till someone pointed it out. Yeah, Belle's not in that trailer.
With her iconic bat.
Yeah, so Belle's not in the trailer, but I think if Vinda's coming back, Belle is. And I wonder if Carvanista would show up again, question mark?
Oh, I would love for Dan and Carvanista to have... Something's got to happen, right?
Yeah.
They've all got to come together. Give us Chibnall's Endgame. Come on, Chibnall. Don't hold back, mate.
Yes.
Doctor Who Endgame.
Do the credits with all of the Jodie Whittaker era cast. Just builds up.
People would hate that. People would hate that. I'd love it, but then everyone would be like, oh, Chibnall era doesn't deserve this. Oh.
Someone already did one of those with like every Doctor Who companion. There is literally a Doctor Who Endgame on YouTube, and it's like
that's cool.
All the Doctors, and they literally drag out that motif at the end to fit 13 Doctors in, rather than like the 6 Avengers cast members. It's great. Just search on YouTube Doctor Who Endgame. If you are as much of a Marvel fan as I am, or Crispy is, and you obviously love Doctor Who, you listen to this, go and watch that. It's a really well put together thing. It looks just like the credit scene in Endgame.
That's nice.
But yeah, so who's your most excited companion to return? Who are you most excited about being in the episode? It's obviously Bradley Walsh, right?
Tegan.
It's not Bradley Walsh?
Not Bradley Walsh. You knew he was going to be there.
That's disgusting.
They filmed this so long ago.
Bradley Walsh slander.
They filmed this so long ago.
Bradley Walsh slander.
No. I found out that because, I mean, As you know, Troy and I haven't seen that much classic Doctor Who.
And it's actually playing in a couple of weeks' time for us to watch some, so get ready to suggest some episodes for us.
Winky face.
I hope I have the time for it. I have so little free time at the minute, but I'll make it work.
It's going to happen regardless. Troy and I will be watching Classic Who at some point. Regardless, Tegan is from Queensland, Australia, much like myself. So, oh, come on. You get Dan, mate.
Yeah, but Liverpool's cool. Australia isn't real.
Hey, Australia, we have great weather and bad internet, okay?
And shrimps on the barbie.
And shrimps on the barbie every week.
I know you hate that, but it's just so funny to me, man. I don't
have shrimps on the barbie.
We do
get kangaroos to school, though. We do get kangaroos to school.
I hate to interrupt, but I just saw something very cool that I'm very, very happy about. I just saw a trailer posted by THQ. Are you a fan of Destroy All Humans at all, Crispy?
Don't know what that is.
The video game, Destroy All Humans. You never played it?
No.
Right, that's disgusting. But they're remastering the second one, which is one of my greatest favourite games of all time. And they announced
that is a good game.
The full story will be playable co-op split screen, which was not possible in the original. So
we could play.
It's local. So $4,000, get over here, and we'll play it.
All right. Fine.
Understood?
You've convinced me.
Good. Okay. Get ready for the vlogs, everyone. Get ready for the vlogs. But yeah,
so much content.
So for me, I think my favourite... I don't know. I really like that Vinder's coming back. I'm not saying he's my favourite return, but it was just really cool because I liked his character.
Nice.
I thought he was really, really good, and I really liked Belle. I thought she was dope. So I'm glad to see that hopefully both of those are coming back. But Ace is like... The thing for me is I haven't seen much of Ace. Like, that's the thing that we need to amend, and Ace has been constantly referenced as, like, the template for Rose. And for a lot of Modern Companions, like, she has the elements of the Modern Companion, so I'm excited to see her come back. And I'm going to make an effort to watch some of the 7th Doctor stuff with her before the special comes out, so it has more meaning.
I think we definitely should.
I try to for Tegan as well. I don't know Tegan as well, though, so I need to have a little bounce around for that and see where she pops up. She's mainly... Is it just 5th Doctor?
I think it's 5th Doctor,
yeah, just 5th Doctor, yeah. So look at some of that stuff as well. It's a shame she's not in Caves of Androzani, because that's the one that both Mr. TARDIS and Dominic G. Martin both said is their favourite classic story.
Yeah.
Like, if Tegan was in that, then it'd be like, right, easy watch then, done. But we need to watch it anyway. Because I've heard so many people say that like, that episode is, like, the 5th Doctor's best episode, and it's his last one, and it's really sad. Like, I've heard that argument so many times.
You know what? People might say that about Jodie's. People might say, Centenary, 10 out of 10.
I mean, it's true for Capaldi, you know. Twice Upon a Time is the best Capaldi episode.
It's alright.
I unironically like that episode, but it's not the best one. Also, fun fact, the acronym of that episode's name is what the Sea Devil said in Legend of the Sea Devils. Oh, if you don't get that, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
So funny.
That was really good, wasn't it? That was really good. That was really, really good. I mean, Rachel Talalay made that joke already, minus the Sea Devils bit, because she points out, you know, if you put the letters of the words of that title together, it says something a bit unsavory. But
that's funny.
Now we can make the Sea Devils connection.
So funny.
Oh, that was good.
That's so funny.
That was good. But yeah,
wow.
So we've got companions, we've got monsters, we've got length, runtime. We've talked about Thazmin. Are there any other general thoughts you'd like to make with regards to the episode upcoming?
Well, it's the regeneration. It's the end of the Chibnall era. Like, we've got a lot. They've got to wrap up. Are they going to wrap up the Timeless Child? Are we going to see the Fugitive Doctor? Like, what's going to happen there? What's going to happen there? I don't know. There's a lot to achieve in 90 minutes, and it does feel, you know, slight. Like, main criticism that it's overstuffed, but hopefully 90 minutes does do it justice. If it's any shorter, I'm going to have some question marks. But I hope it's just a really, really emotional send-off. I hope they do Thazmin justice. I hope that Dan and Graham have a hilarious interaction. I hope that Vinder and Belle have a beautiful baby that is the Doctor. I'm kidding. And I hope that we get to see Carvanista. Yes. That's about it.
She just gives birth to Carvanista, and there's a paradox loop there.
Oh, jeez. Oh, no.
Give me back my human!
Is Kate Stewart going to be back?
I don't know.
I think she's in the trailer.
Yes, no, she is. What am I about? Yeah, she's in the trailer. Yeah.
Surely she has more to do in this than Flux. Please.
Well, let's close out with the final question. The final question of the episode. Yes. And I would like to read out some YouTube comments. Should have said this earlier, but we'll try and read a couple out. Because we aren't really reading YouTube comments out. And also, one of my friends texted me and was like, I've left a comment. Like, I hope you see it. And I was like, yeah, we don't read YouTube comments out, so it's a good prompt for us to look at some. But before we look at that, to round off the episode, what's going to happen with the regeneration? You've got 3 sentences, 20 seconds. What do you think is going to happen? How is the regeneration going to happen? Where? Who's she going to regenerate into? Go.
It's going to be on a cliff top or underwater. It's going to be not in the TARDIS. I think we know that.
Yeah, supposedly it's not in the TARDIS.
It's going to be, hands down, the most cinematic regeneration we have had to date.
Yep.
And I'm going to cry buckets. Thank you very much, Troy, for letting me speak. Appreciate that.
The way you said that, like I gave you an order.
I meant it.
Speak,
I meant it like
I gave you a direct order, Sergeant.
We were having a back and forth.
You didn't answer one of the questions, though.
What was one of the questions?
Who's she regenerating into?
Oh, very good.
I know who you're thinking.
James Corden.
Oh, yeah. My mum still makes that joke. She's like, you mentioned him so much. So she'll listen to this bit now, hear me pointing out, and then she'll come over to me and she'll go, told you.
Very much.
Okay, Ncuti Gatwa or David Tennant. That's the poll.
Yeah, that's the
poll.
Will
Jodie regenerate into David Tennant or Ncuti Gatwa? Go. Who do you think?
By the end of the episode, we will see David Tennant as the 14th.
Yeah, I think that would be enough to hook people into the 60th anniversary. I think everyone's excited for Ncuti, and I really can't wait to see him. But I think if you want to pull people in for Jodie's last episode and also try and convert a few people to, if this is her biggest episode, to go, maybe this era wasn't as bad as we thought, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
David Tennant, put him in there, get everyone who hasn't been watching it in to look at him coming back and go, ooh. So I agree.
Yep.
So we'll soon find out, though. Do you want
to give me 3 sentences on your thoughts?
Oh, 3. It's difficult because you pretty much said what I'm thinking. It won't be in the TARDIS, so it's going to be I think on a beach. I think is the rumor that's going to be on a beach.
Okay.
I think Yaz won't be there, or Dan won't be certainly, because we know that Dan wasn't there when they wrapped filming, so his character's already probably off on a date with Diane.
Nice.
Hopefully, but Yaz won't be there for whatever reason. There is a scene where Yaz is outside. This is a sidetrack. There's a scene where they got a picture with Yaz outside the TARDIS and Jodie kind of like leaning in the door, like almost as if they're saying goodbye, but it looks really awkward, like it isn't a goodbye. So maybe that connects somehow. But Yaz won't be there. It won't be in the TARDIS, and Jodie Whittaker will regenerate into David Tennant in, as you've said, the most cinematic regeneration yet. The new VFX and regeneration from Timeless Children looked phenomenal, and I hope they carry that over into the Jodie's regeneration. And say what you will, her era has been the best looking visually, cinematography-wise, and all that. Like, so this is the best chance to make a beautiful regeneration. And I hope that it's not snap like 11's.
No.
I want them to really
I do not think it will
go
be.
into
They're going
it,
to drag
go
it
hard
out.
on
They're
it.
going to drag it out.
Yeah, drag that out. You know, be great. Or fade to black, and in the background you just hear, what? It's David Tennant.
Yeah.
That'd be great. What? But there you go. So those are our thoughts on the Centenary. Before we go, though, let's read a couple of YouTube comments out. I actually want to find my friend's comment, but I want to read a few others out. So let's read some thoughts from episode 16. We should do this to pick out some more YouTube comments, because they're kind of being ignored at the minute with us looking at the Q&A stuff. So, El Kexo said about Series 2 last week, I like Series 2, but it's probably my least favourite series with Jodie's first. Wow, okay. But I love Satan Pit in the finale. The others are mostly okay. Totally forgot The Girl in the Fireplace was in Season 2. That makes the season a lot better, because The Girl in the Fireplace is one of my favourites, and I don't even know why. Well, this is an edited comment, so I'd wager The Girl in the Fireplace bit was added after we got to that in the episode, and they were like, hang on a minute, maybe it's not quite so bad. Interesting that they put Series 2 on the same level as Series 11. Which I would agree. Series 11 is probably my least favourite series of Doctor Who. Not that I dislike it per se. I just think it probably falls at the bottom of the pile. But like...
I kind of agree with that. I
are you a Series 7 hater?
I'm not a series... I've seen Series 7 probably more than I have Series 6 and 5, just because that's when I was really getting into it.
Another one, Christopher Murphy said James Corden for Slitheen. Sure, you would loathe that idea because you'd want to have a bigger role.
You missed a bit to do the blue on the. Oh, but you don't want to do the blue light thing.
No, I don't. I don't want to drain the color from my camera again.
Yeah.
So, there's lots of get well soon comments about us being like taking weeks off.
Us being various sicknesses.
DS Films said that Georgia Tennant has to see you singing David Tennant's My Dad, so let's make that happen.
Oh, right now?
Need to, yeah.
Because David Tennant. Yeah, he is my freaking dad. And yeah, he's back now. The show's on track now. Got the fans saying, oh. And David Tennant. Yeah, he is my freaking dad. Thank you.
There you go. And then we'll close off with a comment from my friend, because when she messaged me, this is what gave me the idea, so we've got to give her the credit for it. So Chloe Bird has commented, personally, if you could choose any Doctor Who villain or monster, regardless of their demise previously, to make a comeback in the new series, who would you personally like to see? I went to the Doctor Who exhibition in Liverpool recently. She didn't ask me to go. Very upset. And I'd love to see Cassandra return if that was possible. Love your podcast also, and I'm so proud of you. Oh, so lovely of her. I'm going to heart that. We've got a pin comics. I'm going to pin that. I can't pin it right here.
Is her name Chloe?
Yeah, it's Chloe.
Shout out Chloe. Hi, Chloe.
Yeah, shout out Chloe. She's a good friend of mine. But yeah, so what monster would you like to come back, regardless of demise? Cassandra's an interesting one, because I personally would think they're best not touching that again. I think because New Earth, everyone kind of thought they brought her back.
Done. Yeah.
Why did they bring her back, and then they gave her a really good ending that we didn't know she needed?
Yeah.
But you're gonna ask me what villains I want to come back. You know what's gonna happen. You know what I'm gonna say. I want my overweight green boys. I want them back.
You very much want the Slitheen.
I want the Slitheen, yes. Silence also would be an honourable mention, though. Either of them.
That's literally what I was about to say. I love the silence.
I'm so sorry.
No, don't apologise.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm the 10th Doctor.
I'm so sorry. Yeah, the silence will be great.
Yeah.
To come back.
So there you go. That's our thoughts. So thank you for the comment, Chloe. Appreciate it, pal. But thank you to everyone who's given their comments in the Spotify Q&A, YouTube comments. We're going to try and do more YouTube comment readouts because we need to. Because I feel like they've been neglected a lot in recent weeks. So we'll try and make the most for that going forward. Or make up for it, I should say. But I think that's a good point to wrap up. Goodness knows how long this episode is with all your internet troubles, but I think we got a good hour and a bit out of that, talking about the Centenary. It's nice because I think when we did the episode 9, it was kind of erratic. Like I said, we were kind of like, lots of things were just rolling off our head, whereas now we've had over 2 months since that episode came out, about 2.5 months to let things set, think, apply some theories we've heard, like that Master one. I love how baffled you were by that.
Yeah, I love that.
But yeah, so you know what, Crispy? I feel like I do the outro a lot, even when I don't do the intro. So I'm gonna let you sign us off completely here. You know, you're gonna get to close it off. You can give us like your usual joke. Yeah, give us a usual joke or whatever. But remember, you know, you got the outro. Go on, you got this. Remind everyone of how amazing they are and all the things they can do. And I'm gonna kick back, relax,
give them something inspirational.
Do it.
Well, thank you guys so much for listening to another episode of Who's There, a Doctor Who podcast. And I think if there's one thing we can take away from today is that it is pronounced Centenary and not Centenary. If you want to follow us on our socials, please follow us on our socials. Subscribe on YouTube, listen on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and various other beautiful platforms. And yeah, let us know what you think is going to happen in the Centenary special. I think Troy has just turned off his camera out of spite for my pronunciation of Centenary, but that's okay. I can still hear him.
Yeah.
Wow. But yeah, I hope you all have a really, really good day. And we'll see you next week when we make our own episodes of Doctor Who. Thank you very much. Love you all.
See you all next week.
Bye.
Bye. That was so blunt. See you later.
Allons-y, baby.
Allons-y.